Welcome back to the Ken Matthews Report. I am so thrilled to have one of my newest friends, Lourdes Ubieta, parents born in Cuba, grandparents born in Spain. You were born in Venezuela. You are now a very talented radio journalist in Miami. And I've been dying to talk to you since I heard you give that great speech when you were in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. So welcome to the show.
So happy, Ken, to be in your show and to be able to say hello to all the patriots that you have as listeners. So I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
And I see you have every flag in the world behind you.
Basically, the U.S. flag and some Latin American countries
I see that.
flags. Yes, because we are in Miami, and with this kind of mix of cultures down here. So
Yeah.
that's the flavor of Miami, I guess.
And just kind of bring my audience up to speed on you're in a studio now, you work for Odyssey Radio, you have a
Yes,
show that's heard all over, and
yes.
it targets Hispanic Americans, right?
Yes, it's in Spanish, and we are in different markets in Florida. And also through the Odyssey app, you can listen to the show anywhere in the US. And also through social media, I have listeners from Panama, from Venezuela, from Colombia that during the show, because it's a live show, 3 hour live show
Hmm.
daily, they text me and they contact me and they write to me through the social media, YouTube, and blah, blah, blah. So yes, it's a big audience.
Now, what are some of the issues you talk about normally? Like if it was not an election year, what would you be discussing on your show?
Well, this is a conservative radio, and I'm a conservative Hispanic. So I mainly talk about politics.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if we are in election times or we are not in election times, but we talk about anything that is news for us as US citizens.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you are Asian or Hispanic, doesn't matter if you're African American or whatever, because we have so many commons, points for discussion like education, taxes,
Hmm.
inflation, economy, that it doesn't matter where are you from or what is your race. It is affecting all of us. So I have plenty to talk about during election time, and when we are not in election time as well.
And so obviously this election is many people think it's the biggest election
Yes.
in history. And I think one of the big reasons that is the way Donald Trump has been treated since he first decided to run as an outsider in 2015. He got in, he had enormous success, especially the first 3.5 years. So many different cultures were happy with him in the United States. As you know, he's grown his Latino voter base, the Black Americans. That there was, I was at this rally last night, and the Hispanics are so colorful and
Yes.
energetic with the music. And there was Latinos for America, and they had the shirts and the outfits and big flags, and they were singing American songs. They had an American flag, and then following them. This is all out on the street now. Okay, so this isn't even in the. We're not even in the venue yet, Lourdes. These people are out on the street. They're out there
Yes.
for hours. The Korean group comes by. All these
Oh,
Korean people with the flag, and they're singing all these wonder. They're singing like something. What's that song? I love the USA or something that they always play for Trump when he comes out. So we
yes.
have all these Asian people singing it in their dialect. It's funny. They're singing it with the accent.
So
And,
beautiful.
and then they walk by and everybody's like cheering them. All the Trumpers are cheering them. Then Japan for America comes by, and it was just great. It just nonstop. And he's, I think everybody woke up in 2020 because I think most Americans said, oh, this guy's going to win. I'm going to be able to grow my business, buy another truck. I may be able to send my kid to college and all these different things. And then they saw it taken. And I think, believe it or not, I think it brought us together. What do you think about that? Do you think I think 2020 made us stronger, weirdly, as a country?
Agree with you. And I've been, since I came to the US, Ken, I have covered the several elections. Okay, I cover as a journalist the re-election of President George Bush.
Hmm.
Then with Al Gore, which by the way was defined by the Latino vote in Florida. You remember that election?
Yes.
We went to the
2000.
2000, yeah. Then of course, we have Obama twice. I remember when the change came in the equation. You remember that was the word he
Hope and
used.
change. Yeah.
Change, yes. Well, I was amazed by the crowds, especially young people and Latin Americans getting involved with Obama. Then I saw how that support from the Latinos fall because he didn't do what he said he was going to do, like the
Hmm.
immigration reform and all these situations with Venezuela and with Cuba, blah blah blah. Then President Trump came in the equation, and things make like a shift, like something changed in the minds of the people. And then in 2020 we were ready to win again with
Yep.
President Trump. And all of a sudden, this Joe Biden that nobody could believe he will win, he won. And then we see each other in a situation where we find Asians, African Americans, Latin Americans, that those jobs created during Trump times, they are not there anymore. We are seeing that our checking account is not balanced anymore,
Hmm.
that 72% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That didn't happen with Trump. And then is where that you are mentioning is happens. When we say, excuse me, what is going on? Like we woke up and we say, no, 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 no. This is not about race. This is not about Latins or Asians or Japanese or African Americans. This is happening to all of us U.S. citizens, and
Yes.
we need to blend together
Yes.
and make this man win again. And we need him back in the White House because we had a better life 4 years ago. As simple as that,
Yeah.
Ken.
And it's interesting, Lourdes, that you brought up the word simple because earlier this morning on my podcast, I was talking about consultants and politicians want to complicate issues. They never simplify them. They never, it's like, look at the complications they brought into gender and carbon footprints. We know the difference between pollution and having to get rid of fossil fuels. We don't need to get rid of fossil fuels. We have the cleanest gasoline in the world. It's the most affordable, transportable, usable. Whether you're at a poverty level or you're a billionaire, you have access to gasoline. You can travel on your own if you want. Even if it's a beat up, broken down car, you still have something. They want so much control is they are willing to complicate every issue. So if you're eating the wrong food, only they get to eat it. You can't eat meat because cows fart and that ruins the universe, right?
Exactly. It's a rhetoric that they are. The thing that I hate the most is when they want to impose you the
Mm-hmm.
agenda. And here in Florida, that is something that we have given a fight. That's why Governor DeSantis calls this state the free state of Florida, because we didn't allow that the ultra liberal agenda, you know, could be implemented in Florida or imposed to us. So yes, it's very simple. I see it for me. It's very simple. What is happening is not like rocket science. What is happening here to all of us is that we are struggling with our economy. We are worried for our kids' education. We need to have a future. There's no other country to go, especially for us who has been not once but twice the victim of socialism. There's
Mm-hmm.
no other country but the United States. And listen, we are like sitting in a world right now with three wars developing.
Yes, that scares me a lot
And
as a
me
parent.
too,
My wife and I
of
have a
course.
20-year-old and a 23-year-old son, and uh, I don't, the military shrinking, law enforcement is shrinking because they know they're not getting the backup from government anymore. They don't trust, most cops don't trust anybody in the Biden administration. So with all this shrinking, all these people trying to start World War III, sending money to the Middle East, sending money to the Ukraine, where are they going to get the bodies to sacrifice for their next big profitable war, like the 20-year global war on terror, like the Vietnam War? Those were humans were sacrificed. They were said, well, we don't have anybody to fight it. Well, we'll just go take a bunch of Americans against their will and send them over. Well, why are we fighting? Well, we don't know. Just shut up and do it. That's where we are.
Exactly. And Ken, there is something else that is worrying us all, and it's this situation with the south border. I think it's
Mm.
very simple. It's economy, it's immigration, and it's national security. And I'm going to go with immigration. I'm not sure, I'm sure but our listeners and our viewers, this administration on 2023 spent $150 billion on illegal immigration, but they only spend like 4 or 5 billions on our veterans. And let me tell you more. When you ask Latinos, do you agree with President Trump that these illegal immigrants being deported, they should be deported,
Hmm.
and over 50% of people say yes, they should be deported. I also agree with them to be deported, and I want to tell you why. It's not only the cost, because there's no money from the government, there's money from the taxpayers.
That's right.
So 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 it's not only that, it's that first, regarding the money, social security, our elderly people who have worked for 30, 40 years, paying the social security to have their money when they're old. The COLA adjustment for inflation was below $50 for 2025. $50. Some will receive $26, $35. The most is $50. You tell me, Ken, on this economy in this country right now, what are we doing with $50? Our elderly here in Florida, you have people that if they pay for the medicine, they can afford the rent.
Hmm.
And if they pay for the medicine and the rent, they cannot buy groceries. We are not talking about luxuries. We're not talking about traveling. We are not talking about campaign. We are talking about groceries in the supermarket. So first the money, and then the crime.
Oh, God.
Listen,
Yeah.
the crime. And the media in this country is telling us, no, it's not true. The crime is not rising because of illegal immigrants. It is rising.
Yeah. And
And it's
because
true.
there's
And it's
no there's no consequences.
no
They already know
consequences.
they're in here illegally. They already have nothing to lose.
Which by the way is already wrong, because you
Yes.
don't come illegally to a country because there is a way to do it legally. So you are trying to start a new life in a new country, and you're starting by breaking the law, and that is not acceptable, Ken. If you want to immigrate to France, to Italy, you want to immigrate to Argentina, to Colombia, you need to do it legally. Why not? I mean, it's the right of the nation to vet who is coming to this
Yes.
country. And there is an immigration process. I went through an immigration process,
Yeah.
till I became a US citizen. Wait, I cannot listen to you.
Hold on. Hear me now?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, yes. Uh-huh.
You sounded like my wife for a second when you said that. I
Oh,
cannot listen to you anymore. I'm not going to listen to you.
but it's true, I'm myself an immigrant, and when I see these people, and I'm gonna say more. I'm gonna say more. When President Trump says that Venezuela, the country I was born, is more secure now because this criminal we have in Venezuela, Maduro, he opened the gates of the
Hmm.
jail doors and put these people in the border and tell them, get the hell out of here. Sorry for my French. It's true. That's what he did.
Yes.
That's what that Maduro did. And all these people from these gangs came to the US, to Chile, to Argentina, to Ecuador, to some other countries, because this is a criminal organization. It's a criminal
Yes.
organization
And
that is operating in the continent, in America,
it should
not only
be
the US.
it should be characterized and categorized as a terrorist organization because
Absolutely.
they lead and govern by terror. They have the same weapons, if not more, than terrorists do. They have the same armor and guns and techniques. Many of these organizations were trained by military. They partner with military in places like Mexico, and they partner with China. But the Democrats refuse to say they are a terrorist organization. When 15-year-olds have 2 kills under their belt in the gang, maybe in Haiti, they come from Haiti, they come from everywhere. And yet, since Trump was elected, you and I have been labeled as a threat, a domestic threat, an
Yes.
insurrectionist. We're undermining democracy because we question the legality of our elections. I want you to share with my audience your journey here. Uh, and you have such a colorful background, parents from Cuba. So you're familiar with that government, born in Venezuela and that government. Why is it so hard for Democrats who claim to love people of color and love immigrants? Why don't they listen to real immigrants that are here and are Americans say, you can't do this in America because what's going to happen? It's going to go the way of Brazil or Venezuela, or you're going to be just like, East Germany. You can't do this. Why don't they listen? Oh, are you there? I think I might have lost your connection. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm gonna stay on. But your picture froze for a minute. So I'm
Okay. Can you?
okay.
Okay.
Are you back? Okay.
Okay. Yes, I'm back.
I hope there's no
So
one
I
down
was
the
saying,
I hope there's no one down the hall censoring us.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
not at all.
okay.
No, no, no,
I just want to make
not at
sure
all.
because I used to work for iHeart, so my company was even bigger than your company, so you got to watch out. Okay, I'm
This is
sorry.
the second biggest. No, listen, because they don't,
I did
they
not say that. You said that.
don't, well, it is. So it is what it is.
Well, there's the soundbite. That's going on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So no, they don't say it because that's what they want for America. When you check their agenda, it's exactly um, what they did in Venezuela, what they did in
Yeah.
Cuba. And when they talk, and when you listen to people like Ocasio Cortez, or
Oh,
when you listen to people like all these squad members, and you see what they say, and you just say, it, there's no way you can get confused over their words.
yes.
When we come from a situation uh, like uh, like we had in Venezuela or in Nicaragua or in Cuba, you just smell it. There's
Yes.
something that you can smell it. It's like a shark in the sea. They can smell blood from
Hmm.
so many miles away. Well, same thing. So that's what they want, and that's what we have to fight. And
So it's
keep fighting.
control. They want
It's control.
control.
It's control. It's control. It's censor. Because remember, they don't want um to censor what you say. They want to censor what they don't like you to say.
Yes. Yes.
So they swim like in that great
They pretend that they're I mean, the Democrats
Yes.
have always a great example of that, Lourdes, and that's a great point to make. A great example of that is before the debacle of the Kamala and Trump debate, and Kamala was just like, woo,
Yes.
the Kamala campaign contacted the network, I think it was ABC, and they said,
Hmm.
here's the questions we do not want you to ask. They didn't say,
Exactly.
here's what you have to ask. They said, don't bring up this person, don't bring up that, don't ask her that. And then ABC was able to say, nobody gave us questions. Nobody told us what to ask her. No, they told you what not to ask her. And then they
Exactly.
told her ahead of time, don't worry about this, this, and this, including immigration. We're not going to ask you about it. And then Trump's going to sit there, and if he tries to, we'll shut him down. So
Exactly.
that is that's what's happening in other countries. Now, in Venezuela, what was the biggest indicator, the biggest sign as someone who was born there that things were not right? As you're growing up, you look around at your government and what was the first thing you looked at and said, well, this isn't right?
Well, two things. The first one is when I saw President Chavez reunited with Fidel Castro in Cuba.
Oops.
I mean, what are you going to
Yeah.
do in Cuba? Like many of these Democrats, by the way, in Congress, that they go and come from Cuba. Like there's people in Congress who have been in Cuba 10, 15 times, you know? So what are you doing in a country if you don't agree with them? So this president, he went there and he gave a speech in the University of Havana, and I said, I better start packing. And the second thing,
Chavez.
Chavez, yes,
Yeah.
he met Fidel Castro, and then he gave a speech in Havana University, and then came back to Caracas, Venezuela, and I knew what was coming. I just knew it, and then. And then the second thing is when I had a TV show every Monday at 7 p.m. prime
Hmm.
time, and I did a show about the Cuban doctors working in Venezuela, and they censor. They came from the government, and they told the TV station where I used to work that they have to pay $80,000 because we violate, I don't know which norms that they create.
Hmm.
They create these norms out of nowhere. And I say what they're doing is trying to silence us. What they're doing is trying to pressure the station so they take the show out of air. And that's what they did. And that's when I left. That's
Wow.
when I say, I have no way of living in Venezuela. I will have no place to work or to express myself or
Hmm.
do my job in Venezuela. And that was at the beginning. That was year 2000. And Chavez
Wow.
was in power from 1999. So on 2000, and by the 2001, I already knew that I have to leave. And then is when I made the decision to come to the US and start from scratch.
Mm.
From scratch. Nobody knew me, and I didn't know anybody here. But this is the most generous and unbelievable country. I mean, this country is not a dream, Ken. This country is a miracle.
Wow, it's so beautifully put because it really is. And we were talking about last night at the rally, and every time something would happen, I would turn. Now I was there with one friend, but when you go to those rallies, you sit there and you immediately make friends, and it's not even like, "Hi, I'm so and so. Had nice to
No,
meet you."
no,
You just
no.
start talking like you're all on the
Yes,
same. You're all on the same planet. You just look over to someone and
exactly.
go, this and that and this, and there were.
Unbelievable energy. That only
Yes.
happens in the Trump rallies.
Oh, it's very
Because
much so. They have
I've
to
been in
fake it.
rallies. I've been in rallies with I was telling you before, with the Obamas, and then with the Bush, and then with the Biden, and the energy in the Trump's rallies is
Hmm.
amazing. It's from another world.
I think it's real. And I think they
Yes.
have to fake it. So many politics have to fake things, you know? And as things were going on, during the night, I would turn to someone and say, now tomorrow, here's what they're going to say about that on the news. Or tomorrow, here's what they're going to say. And one of the things was I told you about there was about 100, I think they were Latinos, but they were for Kamala across the street. There were about 100.
Okay.
There was about 15, maybe 12,000 of us, give or take, 9,000 in the venue, several thousand on the street with big screens watching outside, like MSG, but a little smaller than Madison Square Garden, obviously.
Right.
And I said, when I saw that, I was videotaping it for my show. And I said, tomorrow, Good Morning America and MSNBC and all that crap, they're going to say, well, there were some pretty upset Latinos at the event. And that's what they're going to show. And that's exactly what they did. The headline was Hispanics still upset with Trump in Allentown. That was the exact opposite. Every other speaker was Hispanic, and the crowd was on fire. It was just on fire. It was fun. It was like a concert. It wasn't even like something political. And that's what we're up against. And I can sort of relate, since I was in radio for 42 years and I've been a podcaster for 2. You know how that felt when you learned, what do you mean I can't say this on my broadcast? Isn't broadcast supposed to be free? And I don't think people realize how close America is to Venezuela, East Germany, and even China with this control of the internet. There's Republicans and Democrats saying, well, we have to have community standards. That's probably what they told you in Venezuela, that you violated some community standard talking about the Cuban doctors.
Exactly.
And now you have to pay money. Yeah.
And then you cannot afford to pay that money, and the owner said, you know what, you have to leave because you are bringing me troubles. We cannot afford to be paying for $80,000 today, $80,000 today, $100,000 tomorrow. It's a way of silencing you.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. That happens to me in Miami. In Miami, I used to work in the iconic Radio Mambi, which was the most important radio station in South Florida for Cuban exiles.
I'm familiar with it. Yep.
For ages. And one day they come to me one day and they say, oh, we need to talk to you. We want you to stay, but the station is for sale and there is a group who's buying the station. We are going to give you $150,000. You sign a DNA, but you cannot talk, please, about the selling of the radio station, of who bought the radio station. I was like, what? I mean, I leave Venezuela because of this, and you're telling me that in Miami, on Radio Mambi, the radio station who had been listened by most of the victims of communism in the United States, and that I have the privilege to be in the microphone, and you are telling me that I have to shut up, receive $150,000, sign a DNA or whatever it's called, DNA. How do you call it?
It's an NDA, and for people, it's non-disclosure agreement. So you sign. Well, no, that's fine, because I know sometimes in Spanish it's the
opposite.
Exchange,
exactly.
So
I have to say an NDA, and
so you never can speak about it. That's what an NDA is, and this is for people in my audience. We've talked about this before. So many of us that left the corporate aspect of it. Yes. The reason it takes so long to get the truth is that these people get dismissed, and you go, well, whatever happened to Tucker? Whatever happened to so-and-so? Whatever happened to the guy on the radio? What happened to Lourdes? Well, they're not allowed to say. You can't come out and say, look, these people are commies. These people are woke. These people are lying to you. You can't say that, or they'll come after you legally when you sign it.
That's why I didn't sign. What I signed was my goodbye letter. I resigned. That's what something I said was my resignation. I say, you know what? I cannot work here. And let me tell you, it's very hard for conservatives to find a job on air station.
I know.
It's very hard.
I know.
Very hard.
Especially if you're truthful. If you're
It's
truthful, if you're
truthful.
fake,
And imagine in Spanish.
I
It's
can't.
even
I can't.
harder because it's
Yeah.
smallest minority. It's a minority, even though we are the biggest
Hmm.
minority in the United States,
No,
still
I
a
understand. Well,
minority.
it's a niche. It's a niche format. There's not a lot of. Uh,
Then it's so hard.
yeah.
So
So you
and
have
they
those things. You have Spanish, and
yes,
you're a conservative.
exactly. So
Yikes.
imagine to be able to fund a radio station that is not already collapsed in South Florida with conservative talents, because
Hmm.
we are very few, but we are in specific markets like
Hmm.
Miami because of the Cuba, Nicaragua,
Right.
Venezuela. Maybe some are in Texas. We
Houston.
have
Yep.
one in Gainesville, but from there everything is blue and ultra liberals.
Yes.
So they will never give us a job. They will never hire us as journalists or reporters or to have a show. Never. So,
Unless you do what they say. Like if
oh
you went
yes,
to CNN right now and you said, I'm thinking about being a man, and you
yes,
said, I'm my husband is a woman who used to be a man, and
yes.
I hate Donald Trump. Oh my gosh, we've got a woman that did
Welcome,
TV and she speaks. Yes, here's an
welcome,
office.
welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Or you're gonna have the corner office. So, but you know what pissed me off, and I'm going to tell you very honestly, because that is something. I mean, that's the way I am, and it's putting me in so many troubles. But I'm going to tell you something, Ken. Democrats are very supportive of their liberal hosts and presenters and people that works in the media, and they really support them.
Yes,
Republicans,
I
when
know.
you tell them we need a radio station, you have all this money, let's buy a radio station, let's produce content, conservative content in Spanish. I'm just talking in Spanish.
Hmm.
In Spanish or bilingual, which was my idea. Let's do a station bilingual with the biggest name in Spanish and English,
Yeah.
conservative. So you will have all this audience in English and in Spanish that will be a hit, because there's no such a thing. You don't found one Republican or conservative millionaire to say a word, or rich, or whatever is the word to say, so well, who have enough money to put it in a concept like this,
Hmm.
that will have a lot of the elected officials, and to fight the misinformation that we have in this country.
Right.
You don't find one single person or pack or institution that wants to put the money on that.
And that's a
And
truth that people don't understand, that because people will say to me, um, well, why don't you just go to this conservative station or that conservative station? And you say, well, no, you don't know who owns it. Well, who owns it? The same people that own hundreds of other stations. It's the same group, the same board of directors, the same woke bankers. I mean, we have banks in this country that are dinging you if you voted for the wrong person or if you own a gun. I don't think they comprehend this. And there's a lot, unfortunately. Now, I'm going to be honest and get in trouble. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cowardice in the old GOP leadership, old
I
Republican
agree.
leadership, the people that hate Trump, the Republicans that hate Trump. They don't like the Constitution. They like to bend it. The ones that like to reach across the aisle and, well, let's just get along with Kamala. You can't get along with a communist, but they're
You can.
getting along for their own success. So when you go to them and say, hey, come on my show or back up my investment, that's when you find out, as you know, living in Venezuela, you find out the real patriots and the real, like Tucker went off on his own and bought his own thing. And then
Yeah, but not everybody have the money Tucker have, but
exactly.
many people have the talent that Tucker have, and we are losing those talents, and we're losing that content because no one in the conservative side have the guts to put the money and stop complaining and just work for it. We
Yep.
know who the people is, who the presenters are, and who are the voices. Let's put all these people together and let's do a big thing like Soros did. in 2021 when he bought, I think it was 13 radio stations in
Yep.
Spanish. You think Soros is stupid? He's not
Well,
stupid.
he just
He's
bought
not there because of, yes,
2 months ago.
400.
He 400 stations. He has now a piece of 400 stations with, is it Odyssey or?
He bought $400 million from Odyssey debt.
Oh,
From the
okay.
Odyssey
Thank
debt.
you for correcting me on that.
So
Okay.
the first thing I did was talking to my boss. Well, she came and talked to me because she's the nicest person here in Odyssey. And she said, listen, I swear to God that if something happens, I'm going to be the first to tell you, but there's not going to be any change in the editorial side. And so far, it's true, nothing. And we haven't seen
Well,
Soros or
I
family as a
pray
company
I
around.
I pray
But
that works. I pray that works for you because
yes,
one of the reasons the weaker, the rhinos and the old guard that doesn't like Trump and they don't like, people like you speaking out, they're afraid to put their foot down and say to the advertisers, look, we don't care if you like it or not. We have a massive audience. We're telling the truth and we care about this country. So if you want to advertise on this show, fine. If you don't, if you're all angry because we don't want to have a man who thinks he's a girl advertising our drink, well, then go to another station. But they don't. They all play along. They talk a good game. We're not going to be censored. We're always going to tell the truth. No one's going to
yes,
bully us. And they've been bullied. The media has been bullied into submission. And that's why there's so many people like me online now.
of
That's
course.
why Tucker's online. He's not. Any major network with a brain would have said, "Man, if we put this guy on our station, we're going to have the
We're gonna
huge
make
rate."
millions.
Yeah, but they know they
Yes.
can't because their masters say, you're not having
And
some guy talk about COVID on our show."
and that's why I'm telling you, a new company built by real conservative, where you have conservative voices together, and you can build a hell of a team, to say what is need to say as an counterpart to this situation that we have in this country. Like, for example, this morning, NPR News didn't mention what Biden said yesterday, calling garbage the 75 million followers of President Trump. They didn't say a word. Politico, which is a huge also part of the media, what did he do? They erase, to use a word, the part where Biden says garbage, calls garbage to the President Trump followers. So listen, I think that after this election, there should be some realignment with the things with the media, because they have been so mean and unfair to President Trump.
Oh yes,
When
and
you
to
see how
us,
the media, and to
to
us,
to the American people, it wasn't just it, and that was really what turned the tide for me. Was okay, I get it. You're attacking everybody attacks the senator, the governor, the stupid congressman. You attacked us. You called American people. I remember one newscaster said, if you're voting for Donald Trump, you might as well be a rapist yourself. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
some people, they lost it. But let me tell you something. Let me
Like
tell
Tim
you.
Walz, he's lost it.
He's lost it. Listen, Ken, but let me tell you something. They have attacked us also as presenters, hosts. Listen, here in Florida, there is a congressman who put my name and some other conservative hosts in a list and took our name to Washington and asked the FBI to investigate us because we were disinforming. And you know what is the real reason why he did that? It's because they say that they lose their election because of us. Because the audience, can you be so stupid? I mean, how could you be so stupid to say, oh, I'm losing my election because Lourdes is all day on the radio saying that I haven't complied with my promises, or that I'm a liberal, that I'm a socialist. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
It
But
is.
that's what they say. That's what they believe. They're sick. And they say, no, 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 no. And they try to take us out of air. And I know elected officials who have requested, when I used to work in Univision, request Univision to fire me. To fire me. You know, that's illegal. I was like, I wish they do it because I'm going to sue them. You know, if
Yep.
they fire me for that, I'm going to sue them. And they never fired me. I left because I didn't sign this
Well, they used to
NDA
say that
paper.
all the time about Rush Limbaugh. They said it about Tucker. They said it about Hannity. Anybody who doesn't walk to the beat of their drum. So I know you have to wrap up because you have another meeting or something coming up, right?
Yes, I have to drive like 40 minutes in this
Okay.
horrible traffic that we have in Miami-Dade.
Oh, yes. Life is so bad. Life is so bad by the sea. Yes.
It's a lot of time in driving.
So what I want to do is I want to make sure that you have my resume. So when you're talking to President Trump after he wins and he
Yes.
goes, you know, Lourdes, that's a great idea. We'll have English speaking conservatives in the same building with Latino conservatives. And well, I would be willing to learn like at least 5 or 6 Spanish words if you hire me on this new platform.
Well, listen, I believe that if Trump says, let's do it, someone will, jump and do
Isn't
it.
that exciting whenever he does that? Like he says something silly like someone ought to make a hat, someone ought to make someone ought to make this. And then boom.
And then someone said, yeah, well, I met President Trump long before he even runs for president.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
I met him when he owns the Miss Universe, and he has an emergent. I mean, this guy, I always say he's like Elon Musk. He's an alien. They're aliens, but we don't know it. We don't know it yet. They are aliens. They are aliens, and
this may get you knocked off your show. I mean, I'm in my studio in my house in Pennsylvania. I don't have as much to lose as you do.
I call them aliens on daily basis because I say, my God, these guys, seriously, the energy that President Trump has.
I've never seen anything like it.
This is supernatural what is
Yeah.
happening. But besides that, I think that's because of the love of his country.
Yes, I do think he feeds off of this love back and forth, and he saw that audience. And if you saw
and
the
energy in the
singing,
rallies,
yeah, the rallies,
what the energy that he received from the rallies,
yes,
I mean, that's all that energy is for him and because of him. That's
yes.
the truth. So I think that's what kept him going. But I'm very excited of what is going to happen in this country in the next 4 years when President Trump is back in the White House. And especially this bloodshed that we have in these wars in Europe and in Middle East are going to stop finally. That is going to reach that's going to end soon. And then we're going to recover our country. We are going back to more secure borders and better economy. And I hope, honestly, I'm telling you, really, really hope that we could work together in such a plan that we can build something that, as I told you, can.
Oh, that would be exciting.
That conservative could be together without race things. No. There's no difference here. We are all Americans. We are in the same boat. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter whether it's the color of your skin or your religion. We love the U.S. We are conservative, and we want the best for this country.
Yes.
And if we could be, on air with this content, people will appreciate it.
Oh, the message. Yeah.
What the media have done in this country.
Divide. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Constantly dividing us.
Yes, and violently lying and hiding information from us. I will never forget when the social media, and that time it was Twitter, and the government, they hide together the story of Hunter Biden
Yes.
and the Russian coalition.
And they
They
sat on
lied
it.
to us.
They sat
They
on it.
canceled the New York Post account. They didn't want us to know. And you know what is that, Ken? That's political and electoral interference.
Oh,
They
I
did
think
interfere in
it's
our
worse.
elections.
It's worse. It's a crime and it's a
It is.
dictatorship. It's no different than China. It's
Venezuela
no
or Cuba. Those are
yes,
the things
it's
that happens
yeah,
in countries like Venezuela.
it's no different. And I remember friends of mine in media were cheering when Donald Trump got kicked off of Twitter. I said, he's a president. They're kicking a president off one of the biggest social media platforms, and he didn't break the law. He's just disagreeing with people, and they got rid of him. I said, you know what's going to happen to us?
You are next.
Yes.
You know, the one who asks and the applause that someone gets canceled, he's going to be next. That's how communism works. You know, they go
Yep.
first for you, and then they're going to go, for your friends, for your
Yeah.
family, and then they go for you.
Well, look at Cuba. That's such an example of that. All the people that
65 years of
yep.
communism in
Yep.
Cuba. And when they take, it's very hard to get rid of them because they're criminal. It's like organized crime. So yes, we have to keep working. I hope you invite me again to your show, Ken.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that because I'd love to have you on after Trump wins or whatever happens. I'd love to have you on in the next week or two because I love your insight and your energy. And I have to tell you, it was truly an honor to share a stage with you, to be on a stage
in
with
Allentown.
you. Yes.
What a beautiful crowd in Allentown. That's
Yep.
the energy. That's the beautiful energy. Especially, I'm not from Pennsylvania, and they received me so well.
Yes.
And so, yes, very nice people. And I love Pennsylvania, by the way. It's so beautiful. So let me say something else. I want to tell your audience.
Okay.
About my book. I wrote a book about.
Do it.
I wrote a book, but it's a very simple book because it's like a civic thing. People keep on asking me about how do Latino votes and what is the difference between the Latino voters in California and New York, and why Florida now is red and it's not blue anymore, and all that, and how the Cubans Americans have impacted the elections, blah, blah, blah. So I put all that info together and I wrote this book, The Power of the Latino.
Oh, yeah, I have that.
Here it is. You have it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so listen, that to your viewers, you can find it on Amazon, and it's good. It's a good read because it will give you the info you need to understand why Latinos vote the way they vote. We are not a monolithic entity, and there's nothing more different than the ideological big socialism voter than the economical voter, meaning that the people that come from the United States for political reason or for economical reason.
Right.
So that's a way to understand why in Florida that we have had so many changes, and we are having, the people in Pennsylvania, how these Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, how they vote. So if you like to know more about that, you can go and just go in Amazon, and there you will find it.
And I'll put all those links up and post up everything and the pictures and whatever.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. I just want to spread the information that is in the book because it's very important to know. It's very important that we know our people, that we know our neighbor. What are they thinking? Why do they react like that? Why do, why we have to go and convince them, and bring them to our side.
And it's that information, Lourdes, that you see, just the way we've been discussing this whole concept. You want to convince people, you want to bring people over. You don't want to force them, you don't want to tell them. And even argumentative angles sometimes backfire because if you haven't taken the time to learn, where did this person grow up? What are their role models? What do they believe in God or not? What type of life did they have? I spoke to hundreds of people in line yesterday. That's the best part. I think that's one of the best parts of a rally, waiting in line. And it's the most chill line. No one's like, when it's going to happen. They're just you look up and you say, my God, we've been talking for 2 hours and I've met 35 different people in 4 different languages at a Trump rally.
And they don't mind waiting 5, 6 hours, 10 hours online.
It
Nobody cares. I
it
wait.
yeah,
That's
because
their attitude.
it's educational. And if we can
Yes.
just move people in that direction. But I know you need to get back to your luxury lifestyle in Miami,
Yeah, right.
where
One
hopefully
of one of the most expensive cities in the United States.
hopefully that'll change soon.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah.
People is struggling, let me tell you, no, that when we think of Miami, we think of Miami Beach and the party, because it's a party city actually. But
Yes.
people here is struggling with this economy. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah,
not
I would
easy. It's
imagine
very expensive.
for
Yes,
everybody. Well, I want to
yes.
wish you the best.
Thank you,
Hopefully we'll
Ken.
talk in,
Sure,
yeah, right after the election.
of
And
course.
fingers are crossed. And thank you again for coming on the show and have a wonderful
Thank you.
weekend.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me. And I send a big, big kiss and hugs to all your viewers and listeners. And thank you for having me.
God bless you.
Bye bye. Same to you. Bye bye.